Today I'm featuring my top 5 favorite crafts from 2024. Welcome to the Chic Show. Today's playlist is hosted by Lady Red Crafting and Our Gray House. Their channels and the playlist are in the description box below. The easiest way to turn a Dollar Tree item into high-end decor for spring. I removed one of these wood pieces from this Dollar Tree sign, so I've got 2 more that I can use for another project. I printed this bunny from Graphics Fairy onto tissue paper, and now I'm using some white chalk paint to cover the wood board. Once I gave the board 3 coats of white chalk paint, I used my finger sander and I sanded along the edges and also in each of the little cracks for each of the slats. Tell me if you don't think this looks like actual beadboard. Now I'm going to cut out my rabbit, and using just a little bit of water on a paintbrush, I'm going to pull away the edges so that it's not just a harsh line where I'm going to place my bunny down. Now I'm using matte Mod Podge to add to the board, and then I will place my bunny down. I am trying to get it into those cracks because I am going to kind of push that tissue paper down into the grooves. I am gently applying the tissue paper bunny to my board and kind of running my fingernail down into those grooves. Now I'm going to give it another coat of matte Mod Podge. Using these peg stamps that I got from Amazon, and I'm stamping on the French word for rabbit. There was sun and there was rain, beauty in I want to attach some kind of a hanger, but I didn't drill any holes to the top of the board, so I'm going to go ahead and do that now and add this wire hanger. Once I have the hanger inside the holes, I'm going to go ahead and use my pliers and just twist it into a circle and then press it down so that it won't come back through the hole. I was trying to decide whether to add a lace bow or not and where it might be best, but in the end I opted just leaving it as it is. Should all acquaintance be... Cans that I thrifted, and actually I ended up only using the 2 taller ones because the shorter one had some raised parts that were not going to work with what I had planned. So I took them outside. I gave them a coat of white paint in a matte finish. Now I'm using some painter's tape to tape off a line. I'm going to do this on both canisters and just paint Waverly chalk paint in ink all the way around. Also use some chalk paint around the top rim of the can. Now I'm using some of Dollar Tree's Rub-On Transfer letters to put words onto the canister. Both of them are going to be French. One is going to be French for coffee and one's going to be French for sugar. I think these are so cute so far. I'm going to add some knobs to the top, just using these little wood pieces that I thrifted. They're little barrels. I'm going to use some antique wax to stain them and then just hot glue those to the top of the canisters.
Should old acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind?
Napkin, I'm using 8 wooden beads, 4 natural colored and 4 white. I painted 2 in that same navy blue, and then I painted 2 in that same gold leaf paint. Now these 2 white ones, I'm going to take the napkin that we used in the last project, and I'm going to decoupage onto those 2 white beads. The last 2 white beads we're going to just leave plain white. Using this wooden skewer, it helped me to paint the beads and also to have something to put them on while they dried. Next, I used some jute twine and I tied it to a tassel that was already made, and then I just simply strung on the beads. I made a loop and tied a simple knot at the top, and then this wood bead tassel was completely finished.
Old lang syne, my dear, for old lang syne, we'll talk a cup of kindness yet for days of old lang syne.
Using this scrap piece of wood that I had. First, I'm going to be staining it with some Waverly antique wax. I'm actually only staining one side of it and then the edges. The other side I'm going to be painting later. I probably should have watered this down just a little bit because this is really, really dark. So what I did was I went back with a spray bottle and I sprayed water onto it and then wiped it back so that you could still see some of that wood grain. My riser needs legs, so I decided to use some of these peg people that I got at Dollar Tree, and I stained those in the same way. Now on the side that was not stained, I painted with DIY's chalk paint in White Swan. I'm using this beautiful fall Roycycle paper from the Maker's Box in October, and I chose to use the 3 butterflies. They fit perfectly on this piece of wood, so I'm using Mod Podge, and I'm going to put a coat of Mod Podge on all of the white paint and then let it dry. I'm using my little mini iron to do the iron-on method. Once it was ironed on and cooled off, I went back with my finger sander and I sanded off the excess paper. And lastly, I glued on the legs with some wood glue.
Should old acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind? Should old acquaintance be forgot?
I used some resin in some of IOD's Christmas tapers molds. I did use the quick cast resin, and once it was completely dry, I used Waverly chalk paint in ink and I painted the entire piece. Once the paint was dry, I used some of Dixie Belle's patina iron paint and I painted this piece with this paint and let it completely dry as well. Once the patina paint has dried, I'm going back in with a second coat of the patina paint and I'm just kind of dabbing it all over this ornament. While this is still wet, I'm using the Dixie Belle's patina spray in green and spraying the entire ornament. You could also only spritz this in different places, and once it's dry, it will look like actual rust. So if you want the whole thing rusted like I did, then spray the whole thing, and if you don't, then you can just spray in different places. Now, once all of that is dry, I did add a little hanger to the top with some velvet ribbon, and I used a jewelry bail for a pendant that I glued on the back, and I think I used Gorilla Glue for that. Now I'm going back with a fine tip brush and some gold rub and buff, and I'm just highlighting all the details in this ornament.
Should old acquaintance be forgot and days of old lang syne?
I want to take the time to wish you a happy new year, and don't forget to check out that playlist in the description box below. Here's another video I think you might like. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in 2025. Bye now.